All right, welcome back to the channel. So I'm going to keep on with the subject I've been talking about over the last week, and that is Errol Spence Jr. responding, because obviously Errol Spence Jr. is irritated by accusations or people talking about the fact or blaming him or accusing him of being on performance-enhancing drugs because of the way his chest looks. Now, he says that, hey, I can show you pictures of when I was 15 years old that it was like that. And if anybody wants to say that, you know, he's got smoke for the people who want to talk about that. What I find interesting, though, is the fact that the same people that are bringing this up don't say anything about people that have actually been caught with performance-enhancing drugs. So let's talk about Errol Spence Jr.'s response to all this nonsense and just the basic unfair and biased, I haven't said this in a while, but I'm going to say it, biased approach to this issue in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So, man, boxing got a big steroids problem. Big one. It's got a cheating problem, right? Big one. And it has come to light, if you have been paying attention to boxing, I mean, closely over the last 2 years, you can see repeated instances where sanctioning bodies, testing agencies, state commissions have given people slaps on the wrists and or no punishment at all for blatant steroid violations, which would lead you to believe that people in boxing, the people in the in positions of power in boxing, the promoters, the sanctioning bodies, the state commissions, do not care about performance enhancing drugs, or they do not believe that there's anything that they can do about eradicating them, or whatever reason, or they actually want it to happen because they think that would provide more knockouts, and you know the fighters will look more muscular and easier to sell. I don't know what it is between those options. However, I know that boxing is doing next to nothing about solving the performance enhancing drugs issue. They've also doing, I won't go into the gloves part. Maybe I will a little bit later in the video, but you get my point. So for me to sit here and listen to conversations about Errol Spence Jr. and speculation that he is on performance-enhancing drugs because of the way his chest looks, to me, is absolutely, positively ridiculous. Ridiculous. Now, is it possible that Errol Spence Jr. is on performance-enhancing drugs? Yes, it is possible. It is possible that Deontay Wilder is. It is possible that Anthony Joshua is. It is possible that I am. It is possible that you are. It is possible that anybody is. But you do not know if they are until they test positive. Are there a lot of people getting away with performance-enhancing drugs, passing the test, getting by the people and the systems in place to catch them? Absolutely, yes, there are. Mike Tyson has detailed getting past performance-enhancing drugs and drug tests for boxing matches, right? Having people having a fake Johnson and having clean urine in it. So even with the guy sitting there, they couldn't tell whether it was his or not. So he's pumping the stuff in there, fooled them. He said he fooled them multiple times. Or at least I know that he said he's fooled them. I don't know if he's fooled them multiple times, but I have a suspicion if you get caught like that, if you have a system that's that intricate, then you've done it before. It took you a couple times to practice to perfect that one, right? So obviously, yes, there are people that get into fight with performance-enhancing drugs. We even know Dillian White tested positive for Dianabol before his Oscar Rivas fight last year, and he was caught on performance-enhancing drugs, but the UKAD and the British Boxing and Board of Control said, we don't care. Go on and get in there and fight anyway, right? So we know that it's possible that anybody could be on steroids, including Errol Spence Jr. We also know that there's plenty instances of people getting caught people that were on steroids not getting caught, right? Like when people get caught on, post-fight tests, like Tyson Fury in the Christian Hammer fight. He got caught for performance-enhancing drugs for the test that took place after the fight, right? So he was in the ring under the influence or with performance-enhancing drugs in his system in a fight. We know these things to be the case. So it's mind-boggling to me when people focus on people that have not been caught instead of focusing on the people that have actually been caught. So Canelo Alvarez, we don't have to wonder whether or not Canelo Alvarez is a steroid cheat. He got caught. He got suspended. Do you hear anybody questioning outside of like myself and some others? You even see any of these mainstream media people wondering that, how did Canelo Alvarez just fight at 160 and he looked completely muscled up at 160? How did he move up to 175 and he looks just as ripped and even more muscular for that fight? How did you put on 15 pounds of what looks like 15 pounds of muscle inside of 6 months? How do you do that? You do that with performance-enhancing drugs. Whether or not those performance-enhancing drugs are legal or you got a version of them that has not yet been placed on any banned substance list. But we know Canelo Alvarez is a drug cheat because he got caught cheating. We know Dillian White is a drug cheat because he got caught cheating twice. We know Tyson Fury is a drug cheat because he got caught. We also know he's a different kind of cheat because he got caught cheating in other ways. But what is the response of people to them? Next to none. Next to none. Oh, it was the tainted meat. It was the meat that he ate in Mexico, even though the guy is worth $50 million, $60 million, and he can eat, and he's got a house in the United States, right? So where was he eating this meat? Was he getting Mexican meat shipped, bad Mexican meat shipped out of Mexico to wherever he lives? I think he lives in California, to California. Or is he just walking around the street grabbing street tacos? Why wouldn't he just order some meat, some organic, natural, what do you call it? Some corn-fed beef or whatever it is, just natural beef, right? But anyway, it doesn't matter because why? Because he's Canelo Alvarez. Since he's Canelo Alvarez and we make a lot of money off of him, hey, no need to talk about that, right? Sam Tyson, on and on and on and on and on and on. On and on and on and on and on. But Errol Spence Jr., he's got puffy nipples. So he must be on steroids. Let's spend our time focusing on the people that we suspect are on performance-enhancing drugs instead of dealing with the people that we know took them. There was a lady who just got off, who tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs, and her defense that they accepted, her excuse that they accepted was that she was performing fellatio upon her boyfriend and she swallowed. As a result, she tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs, and no, good explanation. It's consistent with that. Is it also, yeah, it's consistent with it, but let me ask a question. Is it consistent with anything else? Like, I know you say that Canelo Alvarez's performance-enhancing drugs were consistent with you having, tainted meat. But is there anything else that it's consistent with? Is it consistent with microdosing? Where you just take a small amount of it and then you plan it to get out of your system very quickly so that at any point in time when you're available for testing, that you can be tested and that level and that performance enhancing drug that you're on would have already gotten out of your system, got enough of it left your system where now it's non-detectable. but yet you still get the benefit of doing it. So is what Canelo Alvarez did consistent with microdosing? I know you're saying it's consistent with tampered meat or whatever, messed up meat, but is it also consistent with you just putting a syringe in you and or taking it orally, but just making sure that you don't take too much? If the answer to that is yes and yes, why would you believe the bullshit story? Because if you believe the bullshit story, that means that if it's not true, or the people that know how to do the microdosing can take advantage of what you're doing, of the excuses that you're giving and be able to continue to fight. And since they're able to continue to fight, the sanctioning body isn't out of the money for the sanctioning fees. If it's in Las Vegas, the state commission isn't out of their gate receipts because the fight goes on, right? The other opponent isn't out of money because the fight goes on. The promoter's not out of money because the fight goes on. But yet, the fighters' lives are at risk because they're in there with somebody with loaded blood. You know what I mean? So anyway, man, preaching the necessity to deal with performance enhancing drugs is, man, that is something at least everybody pretends that they want. But when you see people getting criticized, people criticizing people who they don't like because they think that they could be, but not say anything about the people that they like, even though they know that the people that they like have actually taken performance enhancing drugs, then you got to think that the whole thing is a dang scam. Okay. And just like people that say Daniel Roman is more highly rated on their list than Jermell Charlo and Gervonta Davis and Shakur Stevens. It's crazy stuff, man. Anyway, that's my take on the matter. Enjoy your day of boxing. And with that, I'm out. Peace.